Most of the time when we watch horror, it's a safe space for us to be frightened because we know it's not real. And in that sense, I think horror can be quite cathartic. Hi, I'm Prana Bailey-Bond, and I'm the director and co-writer of Censor, which played in the midnight section of the 2021 Sundance Film Festival. Well, Censor is a psychological horror set in 1985 against the backdrop of social hysteria surrounding video nasties, and it follows a film censor working during this period whose sister disappeared when she was a child, and one day she sees a film at work and it harks back to the day that her sister disappeared, and when she investigates the filmmaker, she ends up going on a journey that kind of blurs the line between fiction, reality and memory. Video nasties is a phrase that was coined here in the UK. Films like The Evil Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there was like a really draconian reaction to those films. There was a lot of moral panic and social hysteria about what these films were going to do to society. We had like the backdrop of Thatcher's Britain, so supposed rising crime rate, unemployment and social unrest. And video nasties became a really easy scapegoat for all of those problems. I kind of became aware of that when we'd rented Woman in White from the video shop, and this man came up on screen, Simon Bates, this kind of very serious man behind the desk. And he said, "It is an offence for anyone under the age of 12 to watch this film." And he said something about people being prosecuted. And I was like, oh my God, me and my mum are going to get arrested. He was what scared me. The horror film that I watched, that didn't scare me. I co-wrote the script with Anthony Fletcher. I think we were writing the film officially for about 3 years. Actually made a short film called Nasty. It's not the same story as Censor, but it was a way for me to kind of explore video nasty era. I met with some censors who had worked during that period and kind of heard about how they dealt with this kind of atmosphere of hysteria around these films while they're sitting being the kind of moral line of judgment. One of the censors I spoke to, her background was a psychologist, and then another was actually an actress. So they were all coming from different backgrounds. There were quite a few films within this film. Each of these films were inspired by the video nasties. When I was approaching the idea of these films within the film, the acting style of some of these films is not the acting style of today. Sometimes I had to say to the actors, I need you to kind of push against your instincts. There's a director called Frederick North in the film, and I was imagining how Frederick North would direct this film so that it would become a kind of authentic film from the 70s or 80s. Most of the time when we watch horror, it's a safe space for us to be frightened because we know it's not real. And I think horror can be quite cathartic. I think of horror as the genre about the return of the repressed. It's about the thing that you ignore in your life that is going to come and bite you on the arse if you don't acknowledge it. I think right now there's a real appetite for horror. It's not just exploding heads and eye gougings and things like that. And it's really, really exciting that the rest of the world, the industry, the audiences are kind of starting to see that and have more of an appetite for horror now.